Welcome back to Atomic News, monitoring global chaos so you don't have to. New evidence is emerging about the strike that destroyed a school in the Iranian city of Minab. An investigation by the New York Times analyzed video footage of the attack and concluded that the weapon seen in the footage strongly resembles a Tomahawk cruise missile. Tomahawk missiles are typically launched from U.S. Navy ships or submarines and are designed to strike high-value targets with long-range precision. According to the investigation, the missile appears to have targeted a nearby military facility belonging to Iran's Revolutionary Guard. However, the blast also destroyed the adjacent school building, causing heavy civilian casualties. Meanwhile, Donald Trump suggested the strike may have been carried out by Iran itself, arguing that Iranian weapons can be inaccurate. The United States has not officially confirmed responsibility for the strike, and the incident remains under investigation. But the footage analyzed by the New York Times clearly shows what appears to be a Tomahawk-type cruise missile approaching the target area. Tensions around Iran are rising across the region. For the second time, Iranian forces have struck targets connected to Turkey, a country that historically managed to maintain a complicated but working relationship with Tehran. But the situation doesn't stop there. At the same time, Azerbaijan reported a drone strike in the Nakhchivan region. Baku initially suggested that the attack may have come from Iranian territory. Soon after, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian called Azerbaijani leader Ilham Aliyev, firmly denying any involvement. Tehran says the attack had nothing to do with Iran and promised to investigate the incident, but that leaves an obvious question. If it wasn't Iran, then who launched the drone? Because the weapon reportedly used in the strike was a Shahed-type drone, and Iran is not the only country operating those anymore. Russia has been mass-producing Shahed drones under license and maintains increasingly tense relations with Azerbaijan, especially after recent diplomatic disputes and growing Azerbaijani support for Ukraine. For now, there is no direct evidence pointing to Moscow. But in a region where drones, alliances, and rivalries overlap, identifying who actually launched them is becoming harder by the day. On February 28th, one of the most dramatic moments in modern Middle Eastern history unfolded. A wave of U.S. and Israeli airstrikes struck high-level targets across Tehran. Among those killed was Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Iranian state media confirmed his death the following day. But what made the strike even more significant was not just the target, it was the technology behind it. To understand how such a high-value target can be located, you have to understand how modern intelligence works. Military analysts say the operation relied heavily on modern battlefield data systems developed by companies like Palantir Technologies. These systems combine satellite imagery, intercepted communications, drone surveillance, and human intelligence into a single operational map. Instead of analysts manually piecing together fragments of information, AI systems can identify patterns and predict where high-value targets may appear. In the war with Iran, that process may have taken minutes instead of days. Platforms developed by Palantir Technologies are designed to combine thousands of data streams into one operational picture. Satellite imagery tracks vehicle movements. Signals intelligence monitors communications between military units. Drone feeds provide real-time surveillance on the ground, and human intelligence fills in the gaps. Alone, each of these signals might mean very little, but when combined, patterns begin to appear. If a protected convoy moves between the same secure compounds, if communications spike in a specific location, if security units suddenly redeploy, AI systems can flag that pattern within seconds. Military planners call this data fusion, and it dramatically shortens the time between identifying a target and launching a strike. In modern warfare, the difference between success and failure may come down to how quickly intelligence can turn data into action. Global oil markets reacted quickly after a phone call between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. Following the conversation, Trump said the United States could begin waiving certain oil-related sanctions in order to stabilize global energy prices. The market reacted almost immediately. Oil prices dipped as traders began factoring in the possibility that more Russian crude could return to global supply.
We're also waiving certain oil-related sanctions to reduce prices. So we have sanctions on some countries. We're going to take those sanctions off until this straightens out. Then who knows, maybe we won't have to put them on. There'll be so much peace. But when the time comes, the U.S. Navy and its partners will escort tankers through the strait if needed. I hope it's not going to be needed, but if it's needed, we'll escort them right through.
Russia currently exports roughly 5 million barrels of crude oil per day. Even with the discount applied to Russian oil, that still generates roughly $350 to $400 million every single day. Over the course of 1 month, that means $10 to $15 billion flowing into the Russian economy. For comparison, Russia's military spending is estimated at roughly $300 billion per year, or about $25 billion per month. That means oil exports alone can cover a large portion of the country's wartime budget. And the timing raises an uncomfortable question, because at the same time, the United States and Gulf states are asking Ukraine to help defend the region from Iranian Shahed drones. Easing pressure on Russian oil could simultaneously increase the revenue funding Moscow's war. During the same statement, Trump also claimed that the war in Iran is almost finished. Iran says it is ready to continue missile strikes against U.S. bases and assets across the region. A spokesperson for Iran's foreign ministry stated that attacks would continue for as long as necessary. The statement comes amid escalating tensions following recent U.S. strikes inside Iran. Tehran also announced that negotiations with Washington are now off the table. So for now, the prospect of peace in the Middle East remains distant.
President could have done. No, I don't want to brag, but you know, they've said this about a lot of things. No other president could do some of this shit I'm doing.
According to a report by Axios, 7 months ago, Ukraine made an offer that few seem to notice. Kyiv proposed a defense partnership with the United States built around one thing: anti-drone warfare. Ukrainian officials suggested sharing their rapidly developing interceptor drone technology with Washington. The idea was simple. Instead of using multi-million-dollar missiles to shoot down cheap Iranian-made Shah drones, Ukraine proposed a far cheaper solution: drone-on-drone interception. At the time, the proposal received little attention, but 7 months later, drone warfare spreads across the Middle East. That same idea is now being reconsidered in Washington. Ukrainian interceptor drones can explain the approach from traditional coordinate systems. They are specifically designed to destroy shotgun targets. But drones are battlefield drones. Threats, sometimes estimated. This is Professor Nuke, and this was Atomic News. Stay alert.
So stay tuned for all the wondrous views. You're watching Atomic News.